Hello, how's it going, guys? I recently picked up a Microtech UTX-70 and I wanted to do a comparison between the Microtech UTX-70 and the Firecracker. So, jumping into it, I kind of wrote down the general specs between the two, and I think people buy these knives because, one, they want a fun OTF to play with, and two, they actually make a really nice pocket-sized knife that you can quickly open and close, and they're just great for, general carry, small tasks. But I got them because I wanted them and they think they're fun. So figured if anybody, has a Microtech UTX-70 or has a Firecracker and they've ever wondered, what am I really getting between the two, or what am I missing out on this one, or is this run really worth the extra money? So figured I'd touch on a couple of points. But looking at just the general specs, not seeing them and holding them in person, the biggest thing in my opinion is the handles are almost identical in size. This one is ever so slightly longer, not including the lanyard hole that the pocket clip is part of. So almost identical handle sizes, and the blade length is 0.4 inches, roughly 0.4 inches bigger on the Microtech. So if you're looking for a California legal knife, this one would fit the bill. This one would not, because it's right over that 2-inch limit. As far as width, they are basically identical. The switch on the Microtech is a tiny bit slimmer. This does have some sort of jimping on the sides that the Microtech does not, so it's nice and smooth. No pocket clip here, obviously, and a nice little tiny clip. You can get it pretty close to the edge. I wouldn't consider it super deep carry. The knife's not completely hidden or out of sight, but it is very decent. The action between the two, I guess that's one of the more substantial parts. One of the biggest reasons why I think the Microtech does cost more. Again, this is a $20 knife, so you have a certain set of expectations with a $20 knife. And I'll be honest, I would have paid more money for this than $20. The blade did not come sharp. I had to put my own edge on it. It is 440 stainless steel. Nowadays, everybody kind of poo-poos 440. I happen to like it. I think it's pretty decent steel, pretty rust resistant, and I like it primarily because it's nice and easy to sharpen, and it holds an okay edge. I wouldn't say it's the best in the world, but you can sharpen it up relatively quick. So for in-hand size, they're both identical in that regard, but action alone, and I'll just show you real quick, just opening and closing it. So it's a lot lighter, the actuation here. I can do this very fast. Open, close, open, close, open, close. In hand, this is actually a little bit lighter. It's 0.05 ounces compared to 0.23 ounces. My guess is that's the additional bit of blade and maybe the pocket clip. It's a negligible amount, right? So just say they're basically the same in pocket, because they basically weigh the same and they're basically the same size. And they're basically the same thickness. Again, the biggest difference to me is, off the bat, is actuation. This one you actually have to put some force into. It does fire harder, it does close harder. Definitely feels more substantial. Definitely more substantial build quality. This kind of feels like cheaper Chinese-made, $20 knife. And it definitely feels that way. Whereas this feels like a very well-made small tool, if that makes sense. This is something that I definitely feel like it is substantial and it's not going to break as easily. That said, the firing on this is much firmer. That's about as fast. I'm just standing here at an awkward angle, but it's much harder to open and close this guy than it is this. Now, you might say, okay, well, that's a safety issue. You don't want, obviously, to be firing and closing this thing in your pocket. You're not going to accidentally actuate this in your pocket. I mean, it's never happened to me, and I don't foresee a reason why it would. This being substantially harder to fire and even more so to close, again, being a Microtech, being better build quality and all that jazz, I don't think that I could open this one as fast as I could open this one. And okay, well, it's, you know, what, maybe half a second at most that I can get this one a little bit slower. Well, if I take something like, you know, an Axis Lock Benchmade, you can open and close. I mean, it's not an automatic knife, but if you're wanting to play with it because you can open and close it quickly, well, that would be a great alternative. And my Axis Lock knives open and close faster than I can my Microtech. Other little points to go on, obviously the blade steel, again, this 440, this being Elmax. This came with a crap edge out of the box. This comes, you know, razor sharp. So these are excellent. This comes with a lifetime warranty. If you have any issues with it, you know, Microtech will take care of you. You can't take this one apart because it has those Microtech proprietary screws. I had a Combat Dragoon that I had to make a tool for. When I needed to take that guy apart, I ended up scratching the hell out of the finish on it, unfortunately. But this has those star, you know, hexes, whatever they're called, torque spits. So you could easily take this thing apart. And on the website on Blade Play, they say, oh, this thing won't fire. I think I mentioned that in another video I made, but never had one issue with it. I might have lubricated it once, and not because it needed it, just, you know, simply out of just, oh, maybe I should throw a little bit of oil on it. I find that the switches both have a little bit of play in them. Again, this definitely feels cheaper when you hold it in hand. On this one, I mean, same amount of play. I mean, it's not like, okay, in the open position, I will say this definitely doesn't have any give really to it. Whereas this one does, yeah. That's something to note. I don't know. I mean, do you think having a knife this small and spending, God knows what, $100, $200 to $220 more, you could buy what, 12 of these for the price of one of these? Does that make this 12 times better than this knife? I honestly don't think it's 12 times better. I mean, I definitely think it's maybe 5 times better. Like if this was $150, you know, I could see, okay, you know, that might be worth it. Maybe if this was my only small everyday carry knife, yeah, then sure, I wouldn't mind spending the extra money on it if this was my only everyday carry knife, or maybe my only everyday carry knife that was on the smaller side, and I maybe had a bigger folder. And this, I'll just put this down for size comparison just to give you guys some more scope here. But I think alone, you know, this, you know, yeah, I guess you could get away with pretty much any day tasks. The only thing that kind of I feel like it's a setback on the OTFs in general is compared to like Spyderco Dragonfly. That's it's a folder, weighs about the same. Sure, it's wider, closed top to bottom. You know, height wise, it is I think almost the same height as this. Relatively going to be similar in the pocket. I think the lock might be a little bit better on being a lock back, but just comparing something like the Dragonfly, which I consider like a mini EDC knife and one of my favorites, I would rather use the Dragonfly for heavier tasks. I would rather use the Dragonfly for cutting fruit and vegetables, wet things, because when you get that folder dirty or wet or you get gunk in there, you can easily just wash it out. Whereas these OTFs, you know, I fear the day that I need to try to clean this chamber out, or I cut an apple, forget to wipe it off well enough, or even if I just wipe it off, well, maybe there's sticky residue on the blade and I close it and now that junk is inside of here. Those are all drawbacks to me. And I don't know, something about this being my only carry knife and not having something, again, so that I can do more run-of-the-mill tasks on. Again, a nice folder. I think that's a downside to OTFs in general, but just comparing the fact that this is a $20 knife, maybe I gunk this one up and maybe I ruin it. really don't care because it's $20. Maybe I lose it because it is so tiny and it falls around my pocket. I don't care. It's only $20. And if I wanted, I could buy a couple, you know, get a couple fun different colors. And then this thing, it's like, oh, well, I mean, it is nice and it definitely is substantial. My wife held it in her hand and she said, this feels like a really well-made knife and this feels like cheaper kind of crap. And I 100% agree with her. I mean, this, you are getting a great knife, and I like the fact that the blade's a little bit longer. I don't like the fact that it's substantially hard to fire. Again, just from coming back and forth to both of these, because it is a little bit slower, and for a woman, maybe their hands aren't as strong, and it slips out of your hand, and you accidentally cut yourself. Might be a potential hazard. I don't know. I mean, I guess the choice is yours to make on which one's a better knife for the money, so to speak. I wouldn't have a problem owning both, but something tells me in the back of my head that I'm probably not going to end up keeping this forever, and I'll probably end up selling it. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. I'm real curious. I don't know. Thanks for watching. Take care.